we're joined by Ambassador Tareq Albanai, who's Kuwait's permanent representative to the United Nations in New York. Thank you very much for joining us on the program, Ambassador. Can we begin with the latest to come out of the UN General Assembly in New York, where you are? We know yet another resolution calling for an immediate end to the bloodshed in Gaza was passed by the overwhelming majority of member states in the General Assembly, including Kuwait. How disappointed are you then that despite these resolutions that are being passed by representatives from a majority of the world, that this violence and bloodshed continues in Gaza?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the program. I think disappointed is not the correct word. We are appalled where we see a genocide being perpetuated against our Palestinian brothers for over a year now, and the world has not been able to speak in one voice. And the body tasked with stopping such a genocide, the Security Council, has been unable to take the right decision and stop the bloodshed. I'm just afraid that we will come back in due time and recognize the folly of what we have all witnessed and the necessity that brings to the need to change the situation and make the Security Council more proactive and able to take decisions that affect people's lives every day.
We know it's now been 14 months since the war on Gaza began. Tens of thousands of Palestinians, men, women and children, have been killed in the conflict so far, yet there's still no end in sight to this war. We know that a new administration will assume office in January next year, headed by Donald Trump. I'm wondering if I can ask for what you expect in terms of the conflict under a new Trump administration. Are we likely to see an end to the war as Trump has promised?
Well, let's hope so. Kuwait has tremendous respect for the incoming president of the United States, and he's a man of conviction. And the situation, obviously, to nobody's surprise, has gotten to the worst possible levels. And the only way forward is for a peace to happen and the bloodshed to stop. And we trust that he will be pushing in that direction.
Yes, he may be pushing for an end to the conflict, but some analysts are wondering at what cost, because we know Donald Trump has been a very outspoken supporter of Israel. Do you believe that any deal that he manages to broker will favour overwhelmingly the Israelis over the Palestinians?
Well, the parameters of any deal are clear. The Security Council resolutions speak of two states living side by side in peace and an independent, contiguous Palestinian state in accordance with international law. There have been several suggestions on the table for many, many years, including the Arab Peace Initiative. And so long as it is a fair deal that guarantees the security of both sides and the ability for the Palestinians to finally have their own state with East Jerusalem as its capital, then it will be a fair deal.
Ambassador, can you ask you now about the situation in Syria? We know since Sunday, since opposition groups seized the capital, Damascus, we've seen rapid developments unfold, not only in the capital, but across the country as well. We've seen signs of a new interim administration who's promised to take the country to elections sometime next year. What's your hope for Syria now that it's been freed from decades of Assad's rule?
Well, we have faith in the Syrian people. Security Council Resolution 2254 had set out a process which the Syrian people can follow to reach to an inclusive government based on a constitution where all factions of Syrian societies participate in putting it together and having elections based on that constitution. So if this process or something along the same parameters materializes, then I believe that the Syrian people will ultimately find the stability that they seek. I mean, you know full well, Damascus and Aleppo are some of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in human history. They have seen it all and they remain standing today. So our faith in the Syrian people is unshakable. And I believe that they have seen enough over the last decades for them to find a way where they can work together and come for the benefit of Syria itself, its stability, its territorial integrity. As long as we make sure that we preserve the national institutions and we work towards a goal of bringing back Syria to normalcy, I believe we will get there eventually.
We know some Western powers, including the United States, are choosing to reserve their judgment for now. They say actions will ultimately speak louder than words in terms of transitioning Syria into a democratic, inclusive state. Do you believe Washington and other powers in, say, Europe will need to be involved in this transition?
Well, I think the whole world needs to be not necessarily directly involved because this is a Syrian-owned process, but the whole world needs to be watching and advising and supporting this process and to go forward. Because ultimately, peace in Syria reflects on the whole region, and the stability of Syria is important for the stability of its neighbors and the wider Middle East.
And Ambassador, we know Kuwait is preparing to lead the Gulf Cooperation Council, the peak body for that region. The GCC has been quite outspoken against the war in Gaza, calling for an immediate ceasefire and an end to the bloodshed. Apart from addressing that ongoing conflict, what else does Kuwait hope to achieve as it heads the Gulf Cooperation Council?
Well, the GCC, first of all, seeks to foster and strengthen the friendly relations we have with countries and groups around the world. We have strategic dialogues with ASEAN, we have strategic dialogues with the European Union, with GRULAC, with the United States, with China, with Russia, all around the world. And we believe that working together and finding avenues where our mutual interests can flourish is how we will be able to maintain a dialogue that deals with all the other issues around the table. We've always believed in the peaceful settlements of disputes, and we seek to continue that individually and collectively as GCC.
Okay, Ambassador Tareq Albanai, Kuwait's permanent representative to the United Nations. We really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.